And when I do,
this hidden lair is alive with hostile aliens. In the year 2040 AD, comics have reached their ultimate stage. They have offered and become a lifestyle for the descendants of the early readers. What began with magazines, fanzines, and nationwide conventions has culminated in a fantastic involvement with the personal life of the average man.
You haven't escaped yet, White Zero. Your doom is at hand.
The end of my task is in sight, but first I must rid the solar system of its gravest menace. The deadly rays of the Holocaust bomb shall never reach another planet.
You'll pay for this dearly, White Zero. The beautiful Princess Adora is in my hands. You will never be able to stop me. Deathmaster always has a trump card to play. When you destroyed the Holocaust bomb, you lost the one dearest to your heart.
My mystic White Zero shall lead me to the villain's lair. What in blazes is that? This is the Monolith. It can reach into the past, present, and future, for you or me, for a journey unheralded in the history of man. Jack the King Kirby was really on something when he was making his 2001 A Space Odyssey series in the late 70s. That return to Marvel era is so weird and experimental. Some of it is incoherent, but I love that quirky era all the same. Out of every issue in this 2001 series, issue 5 from 1977 really stands out to me. We get the classic duo of Jack Kirby doing pencils with Mike Royer lettering and inking. For the first half of this issue, it feels like a standard 70s Kirby comic, complete with dramatic close-ups, blocky fingers, Kirby crackle, overly dramatic dialogue. Also, things that look like household items but with a sci-fi twist to them. This cosmic rice cooker, for example. He had a knack for telling stories about bombastic craziness while throwing in some commentary, whether it was about his war experiences, social issues, or his views on the comics industry. This comic is a situation where the text boxes and artwork tell two different stories. We get this superhero comic with this character who looks like if Black Bolt and Captain America had a baby. Without text, it's a generic superhero comic with all the staples we know. Evil plans, damsel in distress, good versus bad. The writing is a critique of superhero comics and these staples, sometimes leaning into satire. This comic reads like Jack's frustration with the comics industry, jumping from company to company, trying out new ideas but never being appreciated. It's not the first time Kirby criticized the industry and the collector mindset. He's pretty blunt about it in 2001, how comics and escapism only temporarily hold reality back. This part is just my take. Reactions to this series were mixed based on the letters pages, and as comics fans tend to do, they criticized Jack taking artistic liberties.
Dear Jack, upon hearing of the appearance of a 2001, my first reaction was, it's gonna be a piece of trash. They're going to take a great film and turn it into a stupid comic book. How wrong I was. The first issue of 2001 was a completely logical extension of Kubrick's film. The man-apes have evolved into cavemen, with the monolith still guiding them. A technical error, the monolith did not float in the air in the film or the book. The first issue is perfectly balanced between the past and the future. Pages 18 and 19 were really vintage Kirby. If every panel in the Treasury Edition adaptation was as carefully drawn and inked as those pages were, the adaptation would have been equal to the film.
Kirby doesn't hold back with his criticism of the repetitive nature of comics and the mindset of comics fans. Quote,
"Nothing must go wrong, not for the believer. For him, the slightest deviation from the superhero saga is an emotional trauma."
Unquote.
X-ray vision.
Karate.
Have your poems set to music.
Be taller! Money.
Money.
In the second half, the whole "oh, it's another Jack Kirby comic" idea gets thrown out completely. It becomes this dystopian commentary. Reality strikes and we get to see Comicsville, a place where people in 2040 can play hero and experience four-colored comics adventures in real life. There is no White Zero, just Harvey Norton, an average Joe office worker, who like others wants to escape the crushing reality of 2040's New York. Crowded, polluted, expensive, with people clinging to their comforts. Little conveniences but low quality of life.
I was trying to stay about 30 years ahead during my stories. In other words, I wouldn't write a story about things people already knew.
Norton becomes fed up with Comicsville like Kirby became fed up with the industry. Both of them wanted something more. Norton even calls himself a fool for going to Comicsville. Kirby shows all of these futuristic advancements, but they're all kind of depressing. And also the most depressing and dystopian feature, quote,
Harvey later allows himself the luxury of inhaling a cylinder of fresh air, imported from a remote and unpolluted region. At $15 a can, it provides a brief moment of hope.
Unquote. Kirby's writing is so thoughtful in the second half. It's pretty refreshing to see him do a quieter story. There are no heroes and villains, just Norton deciding he wants something more than escapism in this artificial world. There are those complaints that Jack's 70s stuff is clunky and it needs an editor or whatever excuse people have. Just let Kirby control his own stuff. He was already an outlier anyway. There's a reason why there were so many Kirby imitator artists, because clearly his look resonated and sold.
Victory. I'm not a vindictive person. I think what Marvel finally did was a very fine gesture. Sure, it still hurts. And I still feel those hurts, but they're kind of numb, and I've never really allowed them to ruin my life or linger in my thoughts.
Despite how grim this comic is at times, it does end in a hopeful way. Again, just a random person's interpretation. I see this as Jack dealing with his own frustration. Instead of fantasizing about escape, Norton actually goes to explore the stars. Just like in the comic, Jack did end up leaving Comicsville for animation, which turned out to be a better option for him.
If you make your characters knowledgeable in your own way, so make them share your own knowledge, then you'll have humanized characters. You'll have characters who are human beings, just like yourself.
To me, this is part of a 2001 trilogy. You have the original Treasury, then this series, which gets followed by Machine Man. It's not official, just in my headcanon, it's one story. People who have watched my stuff already know. For anyone new, all of my info is on my website, witsandpod.com. If it's not on there, it's not me. Thanks for watching. Chaos ensues. I don't want to talk about these politicians and rich people, but I do want to take some time to remember the dead. These Iranians should not have had to die for celebrating the end of a dictator. Ahmed Reza and Amir Hossein Feizi.
خب درود دوستان، همین الان بسیج ستاد مرکزی رو زدن بین فرقه ستاد و نمازی. امروز هم 25 اسفند. صحبتی هم که داشتم برای خارج نشینا هست. بعضی هاشون که دم از ضد جنگ میزنن، خواستم بگم به شما ربطی نداره. اگه ما هستیم، ما بودیم، مایی که رفتیم تو خیابون، ما مردم ایران هستیم که اینجا داریم هر زجر رو تحمل میکنیم. اگه به ما هست، زمانی ناراحت میشیم که جنگ تموم شه و جمهوری اسلامی همچنان باشه. خواهشاً از قول ما گوه اضافه هم نخوریم. متشکرم.
چهارشنبه 404